Hello there, very good evening and welcome to this edition's Primetime News. I'm Joel Outskun.
And I'm Arundhati Mudannaik. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Media heads no need for change in government before 2020. Expresses regret over delay in National Audit Bill. Legal obstruction in no confidence motion against Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne. IT executive of Perpetual Treasuries Limited admits to lying to Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Media organizations warn proposed regulatory act aims to suppress media. Haduneti exposes foul play behind Southern Expressway. What is the cause for the downfall of Sri Lanka cricket? Special expose on Sports First.
President Maithripala Sirisena said he will continue the government regardless of who defects. The president said there is no reason for the consensual government to not continue until 2020.
President Maithripala Sirisena met with the heads of media institutions at the President's house in Colombo this morning. Views were expressed on the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and the current situation in the country at this meeting, which was held in line with the 66th anniversary of the SLFP, set to be held this Sunday.
Rather than questioning what has been done during this time frame, it would be more suitable if it is carefully assessed with the political knowledge where the country would be now if the transformation on the 8th of January 2015 did not happen. The key message that we want to send out at the 66th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is the need for a broad political campaign with a collective and united effort from everyone in the country for a clean political movement. The people of this country know in their conscience who is more suitable in the political field to do this. So our number one priority is the country, while the rest will follow.
The President was asked about the statement made by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa concerning the chairmanship of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
Days after I was elected president, I was invited by them for a discussion. We met at Chamal Rajapaksa's residence. It was a 10 to 15 minute meeting. As soon as I got there, the first thing I was asked was if I would like to take over the party. I asked if a new board of officials will be selected. I said if I am to take over the party, a new board of officers would have to be selected, which they agreed to, and I was asked to take over the party. When I came out after the meeting, there were around 40 to 50 MPs. That was the first time I met with everyone in the Rajapaksa family after being elected president. The Central Committee and the Executive Committee of the party met without my presence at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute, and they themselves decided to withdraw all disciplinary inquiries against me, revalidate my party membership, and propose me as the chairman of the party. Then I got a telephone call asking me to come to the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute and to take over the party leadership. So I very happily went and thanked everyone. It was quite a simple process.
President Maithripala Sirisena also responded to a question on whether the SLFP would take a decision on leaving the consensual government.
As far as I know, people from both sides are saying they would form a government of their own. But neither of them can form a government alone given the current composition of parliament. That is something which is very clear in the constitution. It was the Central Committee of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party which decided that the consensual government will remain from August 2015 to December 2017. Whether or not we will continue from there on will be decided after the party anniversary when the Central Committee convenes. But right now, we do not see such a problem concerning that matter.
Speaking further, the President said Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was removed from his ministerial portfolio and the Lotteries Board were brought under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs based on the request made by the United National Party. The issue concerning Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was a decision taken during discussions within the United National Party. The agreement of the consensual government is that the appointment or removal of ministers of the UNP and SLFP, gazetting subject ministries and dividing those ministries should be done as per the decisions of the respective party. The President said the 19th Amendment to the Constitution allows for such measures to be taken. President Maithripala Sirisena expressed disappointment today regarding the delay in the National Audit Bill.
As a minister who has 3 ministries under me, during the budget debate in December last year, I said that we will bring the audit bill by January this year. It has been 8 months since then. I'm saddened that we have not been able to get this passed. There are many delays. We have spoken about it on numerous occasions in the cabinet as well. We want to bring in this bill as fast as possible. I believe that the processes have been expedited. Therefore, I believe that this issue will be resolved soon.
Views in this regard were also expressed recently on Face the Nation by Executive Director of Transparency International Sri Lanka, Asoko Besekara.
This is more than half of the entire Parliament's asset declarations. Now I can tell you that if I am allowed to show you what's in, if I show you what's in these, well, first of all, I'm liable to a 2,000 rupee fine and/or 2 years of rigorous imprisonment. But if you see in this, these sorts of cases that we've been seeing over the last few weeks and those sorts of revelations, there is a minefield of all of those sorts of cases that you will be able to derive from looking at these documents.
The 66th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is scheduled to be held on Sunday, the 3rd of September at the Campbell Park in Borella.
A group including the General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party engaged in an inspection tour of the Campbell Park today to look into the preparations for the party anniversary.
When the Central Committee convened yesterday and every other occasion, the party anniversary was discussed. It was constantly reminded that all decisions were taken by the political head count. On the 3rd of September, we have decided to hold the party anniversary, which lays out the party's future program, how the party has changed and how it will shape up to suit the future.
The President is taking all measures to make the Sri Lanka Freedom Party a clean party. This is what he told us from the day he took over the party leadership. He has informed all the ministers and MPs of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party to make a special commitment to take a clean government and administration ahead.
The objective is to give the opportunity to new members to enter the party and rid the Sri Lanka Freedom Party of nepotism and steer the SLFP towards a new direction by the next election. Some may view this change in various ways, but the party needs this change.
We are taking the required measures to make this a clean party, to which Maithripala Sirisena, as the chairman of the party, has given the leadership. We need to remind former President Mahinda Rajapaksa that apart from being the former president, he is not the current chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. He is an advisor to the party. He was appointed as an advisor by Maithripala Sirisena when he became chairman of the party. He included a clause into the party constitution that if there's a former president from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, he or she would be appointed as a senior advisor to the party. The former president made a statement recently that he is the chairman of the SLFP. However, he might have forgotten that he was speaking in front of a backdrop of another political party. So he is seated in front of this backdrop while claiming that he is the chairman of the SLFP.
The no-confidence motion against Minister of Health, Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, was a key point discussed at today's Cabinet media briefing. The Minister spoke of an announcement made by the Leader of the House on this matter.
I requested for the motion to be taken up as soon as possible, preferably before the 5th, because I have to attend the WHO session on the 6th. The 5th, however, is a Poya day. It will be the first day of parliamentary sessions. However, later I was informed that it cannot be taken up, as some matters mentioned in the motion pertain to ongoing court proceedings.
The Health Minister responded to a statement made by the leader of the JVP, Anurukumara Dissanayake, in Parliament recently.
His statement is a lie. He started off with the drought and started to speak about medication. It is clear the statement was pre-planned. There is a letter from the DMO of Monragala where he makes a clear statement. The MP statement is a lie. There is no shortage of medicine stocks. When the doctors in the southern province were engaged in a trade union action, the director of the Tangol hospital addressed a letter to me. This is an issue that does not relate to me. They just keep saying things are missing or there is a shortage. The people of that party have no desire to see any matter being resolved. We reduced the prices of 48 essential medicines. Statements were made for 45 years and there were 4 ministers of health during those years. Professor Senaka Bibile could not implement this. There are some shortcomings when something is being implemented. They see this as a theft. That is why when the media was attacking Professor Bala Subramaniam, he left the country.
When there's a sound health service in the country, why did the health minister fly overseas for medical treatment? This was the minister's response.
The Prime Minister made a clear statement. He said he will make an announcement in Parliament. This was not my decision. At the time, Venerable Madulu Ave Sobirathero had passed away. MKADS Gunawardana passed away. I was told that people were carrying out various black magic rituals against us. I took no notice of that. When I defected, a female security officer of the former First Lady called me on Viber and informed me that in one particular room they had performed black magic rituals against me and President Sirisena. The Prime Minister had contacted my sons and requested that I be taken to any country of preference and no one should be allowed to attend to me here. Even when I was flying overseas, the Prime Minister had called my son 18 times and instructed him to keep a watch on me. He said he would take care of the expenses. I did not pay a cent. The Mount Elizabeth Hospital admitted me because of the letter given by the embassy. When there was an understanding that Venerable Sobira Thero must be taken overseas, the Thero himself decided he would remain here. MKADS Gunawardana came to the country when he was advised to remain in London. There was an issue on security. It does not have to be about the doctors. You don't need a doctor to come and switch off a unit. You can give a tip to a labourer and get it done.
අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක මන්ත්‍රීතුමා දිගින් දිගටම චෝදනා කරේ ඔබතුමාට ජනාධිපති අරමුදලින් ලොකු ගාණක් දුන්නයි කියලා. එහෙමද ඔය අනිත් മന്ത്രിවරු ඇමතිවරු හරි ඇමතුමා දැන් එතනදී ඔබතුමාට දෙන ෆැසිලිටි එකත් දැන් සාමාන්‍ය කෙනෙකුට දෙන ෆැසිලිටි කෙනුත් වෙනසක් තියෙනවා නැමතුමා. ඕනතරංග සාමාන්‍ය
Large amounts were given to ordinary people and VIPs including artists and authors. The president takes a decision on the presidential fund. You and I are not the same. The funds are not from the treasury. I was in the ICU. You will understand that when you are also facing the same situation.
The IT executive of Perpetual Treasuries Limited has lied to the detectives assisting the commission. CID detectives and the Attorney General's Department questioned the IT executive from Monday night and made this breakthrough this morning. Zulfiq Farzan reports on Bondgate.
The senior executive of IT at Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Sachit Devatantri, had taken his position in a statement yesterday to the CID officers here at the Presidential Commission that he sought the assistance of one named Niranjan of Metropolitan Communications Private Limited to reconfigure the system at Perpetual Treasuries Limited. However, this morning, Sachit Devatantri had been confronted by the detectives in the presence of personnel from Metropolitan Communications, and he had reiterated the stance that he sought their assistance. However, upon further questioning by the detectives attached to the Criminal Investigations Department who are assisting this commission, he had said that he in fact lied to them last evening when he was giving a statement. Sachit Devatantri, the senior IT executive, had said he called the Metropolitan Communications officer Niranjan on the 21st of July 2017 to perform the reconfiguration. However, GPS coordinates obtained from the mobile device of Niranjan revealed he was in fact in Bolavalana, Negombo on that day, contradicting Devatantri's statement. In addition, call records from Niranjan's service provider show there were no calls between him and Devatantri from PTL on that day. The Presidential Commission issued an order permitting engineers from Metropolitan Communications Private Limited to examine the 4 CDs containing the backup data of the system installed at PTL. The Commission permitted the examination on the desktop computer provided by Metropolitan Communications Private Limited to PTL, as well as the new desktop computer installed by PTL. Perpetual Treasuries Limited had claimed it replaced the original desktop computer due to a malfunction. The Attorney General's Department wished to know if it actually malfunctioned and how did it happen. The parent company of Metropolitan Communications Private Limited, Indian-based Extend Technologies Private Limited, says the Extend voice logger software at Perpetual Treasuries Limited was reinstalled on the 6th of July 2017 at 12 noon. It must be noted that the Monetary Board of the Central Bank suspended Perpetual Treasuries Limited from carrying on business and other activities as a primary dealer on the 6th of July 2017. Following the reinstallation, the WAV files of calls had been copied to the system on the 20th of July 2017 from an external location. Despite reinstalling the software, for the system to function properly, it must be configured. The chief engineer at Metropolitan Communications Private Limited revealed the system was reconfigured twice on the 21st of July 2017. Perpetual Treasuries Limited had entered the system using the username and password given to the system administrator of PTL. A heated argument broke out between President's Counsel Kalinga Intatissa and Senior Additional Solicitor General Dapula de Oliveira during the cross-examination. De Oliveira alleged that Intatissa was pointing the finger at the officers of the Attorney General's Department. However, he denied it. Justice Prasanna Jayawardena brought the situation under control, stating nobody is above the law and Intatissa must raise questions on the relevancy of the matter. The chief engineer of Metropolitan Communications Private Limited revealed the remote examination carried out by Extent Technologies showed the movement of wave files, but the relevant data was missing.
Newsfirst has continued to uphold the public's right to know. In the recent past, we continuously reported on a proposed statute that threatened to imprison journalists and subject them to fines. Civil society and media activists cautioned against the proposed purported Independent Council for News Media Standards Act being brought in through the back door. On previous occasions too, attempts were made to stifle and suppress the media through the 19th Amendment first draft, which was later defeated.
During the Cabinet media briefing, the Director General of Government Information says he has no involvement in the media bill when journalists question him about it. He said that this was created by journalist groups and we provide the facilities at the Government Information Department. He also mentioned some names. However, the truth slipped out when journalists asked who created this bill. He put it on journalist group, but he later says that the Prime Minister had given a campaign promise about bringing such legislation. We are not aware of any election manifesto of the UNP or the SLFP having such a promise. This clearly shows that the Prime Minister had given him a contract to fool the journalist groups and fulfill their hidden agendas. How can they inquire into our opinion on a document that we have no idea about? The people need to know about this document before they give their opinion. Dr. Pradeep Veerasekara, who is taking this around the country, says that sources of journalists should be revealed. The concept notes that this was published by the Director General of Government Information on behalf of the Secretary of the Ministry of Mass Media. According to the administrative laws of the country, the duties of the Secretary can be borne only by the Additional Secretary, a Senior Assistant Secretary or an Assistant Secretary, not a department head. This itself is legal. This process is taking place in an illegal manner.
The
chairman of the committee will be appointed based on the recommendations of the Bar Association, someone like a retired judge. The Bar Association is attempting to take action against Deputy Minister Ranjan Ramanayake for some of his comments. The Bar Association believes that his comments were in contempt of court. If you look at this from the eyes of a journalist, we see this as his right to expression or free speech. How can this be challenged? If the head is not someone involved in media, how will this affect the regulation process? As organizers, we are not prepared to accept government regulations. When Ranga was appointed as the Director General of Government Information, we were first invited to attend a discussion on media affairs and the issues of journalists. By the second or third time we went to meet them, it became very clear to us what their plan was. As Vijayananda Jayavira clearly mentioned, they have a structure that they have already created. They just want us to endorse it.
We stand in agreement with the revelations made by these journalist associations. We emphasize that we will always stand on behalf of the people's right to information. Whether there are elections or not, we will not falter in exposing fraud, corruption and malpractices, because the public has a right to make an informed decision. Reminder: helping Hambantota deal, avant-garde deal, Greek bonds, stock market manipulations, Cyrilia Savia accounts, ownerless land in Malvana, Colombo and Kandy night races, attacks against media institutions, murder of Lasantha Vikramatunga, disappearance of Prageet Eknaligoda, assaults against journalists such as Poddala Jayanta, Keith Noya and Upali Tennakon, impeachment of Shirani Bandaranaike, central bank bond scam, Volkswagen scam, Horana tire factory, the tallest building, multiple ICTA malpractices,
coal and electricity mafias, expressway irregularities. These are but a few of the revelations that we have made. Who is behind this document? A website said the proposed media draft regulatory law was being promoted by the Director General of Government Information, Ranga Kalansurya, and IMS Country Program Manager, Nalaka Gunawardana, without formal involvement of the Ministry of Mass Media.
Addressing a media briefing organised by the Voice Against Corruption movement, JVP MP Sunil Handuneti commented on the Matara Hambantota stretch of the Southern Expressway.
This project is being done by 3 companies under 4 parts. The project is being funded through a loan from China, which the country has to repay with interest. The total cost for the project is 243 billion rupees, approximately $1.9 billion. This is more than the money we got through the Hambantota port deal. 15% of the cost for the first and second stages are being borne by the government. The rest is funded through a loan. There are constructors for this project as well as company appointed to provide advisory services. The loan is from China and the advisory services are also from China. FSDI is the company that will provide this service according to the agreements. They need to bring in around $12 billion to the country. They are going to take this from the Exim Bank. Even though the construction activities have begun, they are yet to secure this loan. It has been about 2.5 years since they began the activities and started to charge us for their services. The government is yet to reveal how they are getting this money. Has the money approved by Exim Bank arrived in Sri Lanka? The risk is they will present the bills with interest payments and late payments. We will need to pay back these bills. How can we repay these loans if the money has not reached Sri Lanka? This is an issue. If the government cannot pay this, then we will have to sell the expressway to China itself to cover up the loans.
Plans have already been created to extend the Southern Expressway from Matara to Khattaragama. Newsfirst has learned that the Cabinet Committee on Economic Management, or CCEM, has recently taken a decision to extend the length of the flyovers present in the section of the expressway from Matara to Beriata. This move changes plans from the expressway that were already approved and will cost the general taxpayer millions of rupees. Are such ad hoc changes being made to cover up losses incurred by other scams, such as the bond scam? A special revelation on Action TV tomorrow.
On to more news. Now, today marks the 7th International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances.
An enforced disappearance occurs when a person is secretly abducted or imprisoned by a state or political organization or by a third party with the authorization or support of political organization, followed by a refusal to acknowledge the person's fate and whereabouts. According to a report released earlier this year, Amnesty International estimates that there have been as many as 100,000 cases of enforced disappearances in Sri Lanka since the 1980s. One of the most prominent cases of enforced disappearances in the recent past was that of journalist Pragith Eknaligoda during the tenure of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Eknaligoda has been missing since the 24th of January 2010. In October 2015, the Sri Lankan government committee to develop mechanisms and institute other reforms aimed at delivering truth, justice, reparation and ensuring non-recurrence of human rights violations and abuses such as enforced disappearances. In 2016, the Parliament ratified the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearances and also passed a bill to establish an Office of Missing Persons.
Many countries have decided to sign and ratify the convention, and Sri Lanka is one of them. UN welcomed Sri Lanka's decision to sign and ratify very recently last year this convention. The moment that you accept the obligations of this convention, then you take the responsibility to investigate cases of enforced disappearance, bring to justice perpetrators, and make sure that the victims have adequate access to reparation and compensation. Now, there is a specific mechanism within the United Nations that looks into complaint, and so these are all good, positive progress to be reported.
Issuing a message to mark the day, Chief Minister of the Northern Province, C.V. Vigneswara, notes that the government has failed to take meaningful steps regarding the fate of missing persons. He also adds that it is high time that the international community gives adequate pressure to the government to investigate immediately the fate of missing persons.
Well, that's a look at Primetime News for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka.
I'm Joel Outsgood. More news follows on our website, www.newsfirst.lk. Take care. Good night.